That's kind of what's keeping me there, is that is when I beat my coworkers. But I don't really play with too many people. It's just one of those that when you're waiting for a test script to run, you just kind of play it because sometimes it takes a while for test scripts to run. So this next match is Vaani Research Station. It's going to be Spyro and SpaceJam. So let's introduce our players. Starting in the southern position of this map of Vaani Station, it is Rival Gaming's teal Terran player, SpaceJam, the only black member of Rival Gaming. And in the northern position, we have a red Terran just winning that last match with a very decisive, I feel like it's an army composition win. It is Spyro. So he's from the Confederation, of course. So let's talk about Vaani Research Station. This is a new ladder map. It is new to the ladder pool, and people are still kind of trying to figure out how to play it. If you tip it sideways, it actually looks like a habitation station where you start at your natural and then kind of expand from there. But I like to think of it more as its own little unique map at this point. So the interesting thing is that you start in the middle of the map and you have two options. You have the in-base natural that's right here, kind of almost in an island sort of way, but obviously there's a ramp, so you can easily take that for a fast expansion, or you can go out to what would be considered more of the natural expansion. So we see it kind of has more of that feel that Alterzim actually had. Yeah, that's the map, the big purple map, or like it was a dark map that was super big before Nimbus came around. So it kind of has that resemblance here too. So yeah, that is Alterzim's stronghold. So but we have more of a side natural rather than like a outside natural like Alterzim would have been, like right here. So both players are going to scout about the same time. It looks like their builds are looking a little bit of the same. Spyro's guess is just a teeny bit early, but that might just be an aesthetic preference or just playing different timings at this point. So pretty much they can say to be mirrored at this point. Spyro received a message from SpaceJam, who is using the emoticon. I don't know why they're smiling at each other. Are they even chatting? Yeah, they said good luck before that. So we do see the orbital command first from Spyro, and SpaceJam's going to continue to make SCVs and then go for his orbital command. So interesting to note that the factory is a little bit earlier for Spyro than SpaceJam. Otherwise, still looking pretty equivalent at this point. So, you know, I never asked why SpaceJam actually chose the name SpaceJam. I don't know if he was inspired by Michael Jordan, or if he's a Looney Tunes fan, or maybe it's just kind of the way things work when you choose a name and you like basketball. I don't know. But SpaceJam is going to go for the second guess. They're actually doing really similar builds, with Spyro just being a teeny step ahead of him. I don't think this teeny step will be anything consequential at this point, but it could possibly be. So Starport is coming out from both players actually, so we're continuing to see that. But we do see that SpaceJam is actually a little bit faster with his tech lab, and kind of like producing his army at this point. So SpaceJam is looking to get a supply depot. It is in base natural, so he's going to start positioning himself and posturing to get that in base natural. And we actually see Spyro's doing the same thing. So far, this is as much of a mirror matchup as you can get. So they're at the same amount of workers. Spyro has a couple more Marines than SpaceJam does, but SpaceJam is also not trying to commit himself further up. So we do see that the Banshees are starting for both players, and Cloak is starting, and we might actually see our first deviation here. We see a reactor built by SpaceJam at his factory, while there's a Widow Mine being produced at Spyro. So a little bit of a deviation here, and this is where things are going to start going into its own crazy personal style. So Spyro's places Marines. They're facing the command center because Heil Hitler, I guess. I don't know. Okay, that joke may or may not be appropriate, but the Widow Mine is going to go in the natural, and it's going to be hidden a little bit. So possibly being able to get that Banshee at this point. So we do see the first Banshee coming out for Spyro as well as SpaceJam. They're going back towards each other, and they're both actually electing to get Raven. So both of them kind of have a similar philosophy when it comes to the Banshee opener. So Marine's gonna go out, and they actually spot the Banshee, but they're gonna come back. Cloak is finishing up for both players, and this is where the damage is gonna start being done. So Banshee takes out 3 workers, and then it's gonna cloak. But the scan goes down, and will the Marines get it? I feel like the Marines should have positioned themselves before the scan went down. But the Raven is going to pop out, and things will be all handy-dandy for SpaceJam. Now, SpaceJam's Banshee's going to get in, but the difference is SpaceJam's not going to fully commit at this point. So it's going to get less damage done, but it's still going to be alive. So unless he mismicros it, which is kind of a waste at this point, seeing that the Raven is there, but at least the Viking's not going to be able to see it if it were to pursue outside of the Raven's thing. So nice snipe on the SCV. That's making it so he won't be able to expand right away. So, but the Widow Mines are going to actually catch that Banshee. So SpaceJam loses that, and Spyro is going to go ahead and take his expansion. SpaceJam continuing to mass up units. We see a couple Hellions and some Marines as well as a Raven, and he's getting stim. So a little bit ahead, but Spyro is getting a siege tank. A couple siege tanks to help defend as he's taking his expansion, and also has that Viking support as well. So the Ravens are gonna, or excuse me, Spyro's Raven's gonna be more protected than SpaceJam's Raven. So patrolling out to the side is the Raven and the Viking. It's just going to sit there waiting for further Banshee support harass, but that's not happening. SpaceJam's taking as natural. Game's kind of been equal. Both players got a little bit of work done with their Banshees. Spyro definitely got more, but I feel like SpaceJam's Banshee was kind of clutch in preventing this natural from coming up sooner than it actually did. So makes things a little bit more even at this point. So siege tanks continuing to be produced by Spyro. He's producing them one at a time since he only has one factory, and SpaceJam's just continuing to start getting his own siege tanks. So command center is just about done here. Orbital command starting from Spyro. Just getting that expansion lead is going to help him a little bit, and you know, all that other fun stuff's happening. So but we do see that, I think what's note, oh, that's weird. What is there to note is that SpaceJam hasn't been fitting as much spending into his builds. I feel like he is getting a stim pack, and he's got 3 barracks, a starport, and a factory, but he doesn't seem to be producing much. If it's just a matter of like how his macros go and such, I'm not too sure. It looks like he's spending his money, and he is technically ahead in supply, but I feel like Spyro's fitting more into his build. It's a little bit more tight. He's getting his upgrades and in combat shield as well, so he's going to have almost a full upgrade cycle window, where he's going to have 1-1, where SpaceJam's not going to have that. So it could create a timing of some sort, or if an unlikely engagement happens, it can help Spyro in his favor. So SpaceJam is going to go ahead and get his 3rd earlier than Spyro, though, so he's definitely looking to get ahead in the macro game. We do see the scan goes down, kind of scanning for some text, seeing what's up, seeing the medevacs floating there. And the Hellions are going to come up and see if they can do some scouting. He starts scouting that 3rd base, and but he will see these Marines most likely. Just a little bit outside his vision, while the Marines are just kind of going off on their own way. So these and the medevacs are going to be heading out to do some harassment. Not sure why they're not in the medevacs to begin with, but SpaceJam is going to see this, so he knows that that this attack is coming. So, but Spyro is going to pretend to walk away, and then he's going to continue on his way trying to trick out. We do see SpaceJam is moving out with his siege tanks and his Marines, going to go cover his third so it doesn't get sniped by these Marines coming up. So he knows now's the time, so he has the siege tanks lined up and he has them ready and such. The only thing to note is that SpaceJam is still at 0-0 while our opponent Spyro is at 1-1. And we see the Hellions are going to retake the Zelnaga Tower, and they're going to get out before those Marines get back. But they're actually doing a little bit of micro, but the damage is too much from those Marines. So good of SpaceJam to be able to pull those Hellions back. Good on Spyro to be able to go ahead and make sure that Zelnaga control isn't permanent. I've seen games where like I've had games myself where I'd control the Zelnaga towers the whole entire time because he just doesn't do anything about it. So it's good to have that vision control. We do see the Hellions are going to go back for that vision, and they're going to meet that one Hellion or meet that one Marine, and then he's going to take it out because roasted barbecue. So Marines continue to walk around. We see the siege tanks on siege, and they're going to start moving out to more likely than not do some pressure. We do see that the third command center has been created already by Spyro, and that he's going to look to actually take the gold rather than take the safer third here. So having that gold will just shoot his income up by a sky amount. I can't think of how much that's going to be, but he could just drop all of his meals at his gold and get a ton of resources from that. So another command center at the third, ready to go ahead and get some more bases up and running. The players are kind of being a little bit stale. This gameplay is a little bit, not really turtley, but more laid back. Neither one of them's. They're kind of committing a little bit of pressure, just kind of moving their army around just to kind of show that they're both being active on the map, but they're not really like committing to making an attack happen. They're not trying to hit a timing or anything like that. So we do see that a couple siege tanks and Marines and medevacs are on their way out. So we're going to see if he's going to be able to get his some damage done, or if SpaceJam's going to be able to just crush his army. So having two Marines there, they're grabbing the Zelnaga Tower, they're going to see this army move out. So when you see a ton of Marines and some medevac support around that, you know that there's a decent sized army out there. He doesn't know about the siege tanks, but I feel like he has a good idea about that. So scans dropping down from SpaceJam to see what is up. And the Marines are going to come in and do some damage. So one thing to note is that 2-2 is done for Spyro, while 1-1 is, 2-2 is about halfway done for, excuse me. So one siege tank's taken out by a Hunter Seeker missile. Their Marines are gauging, but SpaceJam's Marines are definitely lacking an upgrade. So pulling his SCVs out of the way, he needs to save them and wait for his siege tanks to reinforce at this point. So they are going to take out, more likely than not, take out this command center. But with the siege tanks sieged up and everything, we should see that a drop will happen on top of the tanks. And this should, not exactly putting them in the ideal spot, even running them into their death. But hey, whatever you want to do, SpaceJam, you can do it. So the Vikings are going to go ahead and take out these medevacs and dropping some more Marines on top of these tanks. He's finally going to clean things up, but not without a cost. So Spyro is ahead, 147 supplied to 115. Some more scans are happening to see where the army's at and grabbing as many medevacs as he can, but the medevacs are going to be saved by these Marines. We do see that this command center is looking to go ahead and posture itself for a fourth. Marines are going to try sniping that in, but these Marines going to go ahead and defend that. So SpaceJam has a decision. Does he save his base? It looks like that answer is going to be no. Or maybe actually. Just barely. The fact that it keeps moving is causing the SCVs to stop repairing it, and it almost burns down as fast as it's being repaired. But now it's going to continue being repaired and should be nice. We see some Marines kind of checking to make sure he's not grabbing his fourth, and then he's just going to go ahead and walk away from home. So Startail Bob slowing the game. Don't know why. Maybe it's his connection. Who knows? But that alert is just randomly set. So 3-3 is being started by SpaceJam, and he's going to get his +1 vehicle weapons, while Spyro is ahead on his upgrades too. So overall, Spyro definitely in a better position than SpaceJam here. So we're going to see if SpaceJam is able to hold on. So the red Marines, they're going to run out. A lot of them have been stimmed, so might have that disadvantage, but hey, that's what medevacs are there for, to heal. So that's kind of what the hospitals are meant for. It's like when you hurt yourselves from doing drugs, you'll have doctors to be able to heal you. So siege up at the bottom. They're gonna do sieging from the ramp, and a couple Marines actually get planted, and the siege tank gets sniped, but the Widow Mines aren't going to be able to help too much because they are running away. They're going to start burrowing underground, but there's a lot happening here, and the Widow Mine is not going to get off, and it looks like SpaceJam is just barely going to hold on to this, but the 2 siege tanks that's left here, they're going to just start wrecking town here. So that's camping the production. Anything that comes out means there's going to be a GG for Spyro. So Spyro takes game number 2 and this best of 9 series. So another exciting match. It was a little bit